My name is Camila. I'm from the city of Ourinhos in São Paulo. Since I was young, I was always naive about the world. I truly believed that love was enough to overcome any problem. At 19 years old, I married the man I thought was the love of my life. I never imagined that fate had a cruel joke waiting for me. A short time after the wedding, a terrible accident took the life of my husband, Felipe. This is an incredible story. So watch the video until the end, subscribe to the channel, and leave your like to show your support and encourage us to bring more stories like this. I found myself alone, completely lost, with no direction. Grief consumed me, and every corner of the house seemed like a reminder of everything I had lost. But in the midst of the pain, I discovered something that would change my life forever. I was pregnant. My child, still growing inside me, would never have the chance to know his father. If you want to drive any woman wild with desire, to make her knees weak, and to have the vitality of an 18-year-old boy, be sure to check out the product we recommend. The link for the product will be in the first pinned comment. Today, 20 years have passed. My son Lucas became my entire world. I raised him alone, with no family nearby. I stayed in the same house that Felipe had left for us, trying to build a home with the memories that remained. But as the years went by, I realized this house held more than just memories. It held secrets I never dared to ask about. Since I was old enough to understand, it has always been just Lucas and me. After my husband's death, I kept living in the house he left us. We are in a city where we have no relatives, close friends, or any kind of support. With time, this solitude became our daily routine, creating a strong, unbreakable bond between mother and son. Since he was a baby, Lucas slept next to me. As the years passed, what should have changed ended up becoming an even more frequent habit. He grew up, he matured, but our closeness never wavered. It was as if the absence of other people in our lives made us depend on each other in a way that is hard to explain. I remember one specific day when he was already a teenager. Something unexpected happened that morning. Lucas was the one who woke me. It was a brief moment, but it was enough to make something inside me change completely. I noticed he was acting differently, maybe because of his age. It was almost funny, because I lay down next to him and felt something substantial, and from the feel of it, it was enormous. But I acted as if nothing was happening, especially because my son was already a young man who had grown a lot. Lucas, now 20 years old, was already a grown man. Very tall, of course, much taller than me, since I'm only 1.5 meters. The ritual was the same every day. I treated him like my baby. We did not sleep separately, even if he went to bed later because he liked to watch movies until the early hours. We woke up together. But I realized that I could not sleep in just any clothes, because, as the saying goes, the tent went up easily. It was not his fault. It always happened. I liked to sleep curled up with my son. His clothes smelled so wonderful. But that day, I realized how much he had grown, and I needed to change my behavior. Even the clothes I slept in. He slept in front and I slept behind. The moment came when my hand got tangled between his legs accidentally. I felt that enormous snake. I said, "Son, what is this?" You cannot imagine. He had a fit of laughter and neither of us could sleep well afterward. I was very embarrassed. Even so, I felt it was very large. I felt awkward. But when he fell asleep, I reached my hand out again, trying to understand if it really was that size. I felt him murmur until I became very ashamed. I made slow movements with my hands and his eyes were closed the whole time. So I took my hands away because I might wake my baby at any moment. I even thought that what I was doing was wrong. I started to think, my goodness, I should have treated him differently. I am here in this room with my son. At some points, I turned my back so as not to do anything I would regret, because I was already used to sleeping while gently caressing him every night. As a good mother, I always took my bath every night, put on the best pajamas, and applied collagen cream to my face and body. I really liked a black plum cream. Soon he would arrive and say, "Mom, Your skin is so soft. I've never seen anyone smell so lovely." He always complimented me because he actually wanted the duvet to sleep. He would always tell me he was afraid to sleep alone, and he ended up sleeping glued to me. He immediately turned on the flashlight of his cell phone and said to me, "Wow, your voice sounds rough today." He started to make me feel shy. And then, when everything was awkward, he said to me, "It's a joke, silly. These pajamas are beautiful." And soon I saw the bulge. Of course, it was clear. And when I saw it, he was already behind me. And I became very happy because the liquid was leaving my girl. It was a beautiful night. Our first night. I felt that bulge. And soon we felt very hot. Outside, the temperature was 10 degrees above zero. But inside this room, it was almost 40, and I was about to leave there. I noticed he was shy. He did not have the courage to get to where he needed to get. But I did not insist, because at one point or another, what we both expected would happen. So, I did not make any noise, so as not to cause alarm. I handed him the duvet on the bed, and everything was fine. 15 days later, we planned to watch a comedy movie together. I made microwave popcorn and chamomile tea for that night. But we started talking about future plans, what we wanted to buy for the house, including changing our car, which was already very old. And when we realized it, an extremely suggestive scene started in the movie. We were both quite awkward about continuing that conversation, but we pretended in a way that we did not see anything. We said to each other that we could turn off the television, since we had to wake up early the next day. I said goodnight and gave him a kiss on the forehead, as I do every day. When I looked at the clock next to me, it was 6 o'clock the next morning. I heard him cough. He got out of bed on tiptoe, but I felt it. He was in the bathroom for about 15 minutes. I heard a strange noise. I cleaned up quickly. I did not make a sound. It was him playing the instrument and making motions, and I saw exactly what he was doing. He came back to bed. I was facing away. I felt something very strange stabbing my back. He called me and told me to see how much the tool had grown. He hugged me, so I could not resist. I pretended to be sleeping, but at the same time, I was happy, because it was the person I loved the most in the world. Years had already passed since the last time she'd experienced physical intimacy, and as she lay there, she could not help but wonder if everything was just a creation of her imagination. But upon feeling his presence near her, she knew it was real. His warmth enveloped her, and she felt him moving next to her. She reached out and took his hand. He held her gently by the waist. She lifted his shirt and slowly caressed his chest, moving in a subtle rhythm. She felt him stir again, and this time, she knew he was awake. In that position, she moved deeply, almost frantically, causing her neglected nest to come into contact with the chirping of the bird that sought refuge there. It was the size of a deodorant stick. She could not touch it, but she could feel it, and that brought her a sense of calm. The feeling of guilt within her continued to persist, but after half an hour of turning and tossing, she felt drenched in sweat. She could not believe this was happening to her. Suddenly, she felt a strong embrace, a desperate hug. She felt his hand descending as if he wanted to control everything around him. She stopped and watched as he entered and took up all the space. He opened a path in a way she could not explain, and instead of feeling extreme guilt, she felt pure and blessed. She trembled with fear. He entered and stopped, and she trembled with fear. The next morning she woke up trembling with nervousness and desperation. She climbed the walls, begging for more smoke, fire, and heat. She felt her legs give way and moved in the chair. That night, during dinner, she woke up late. He came into the kitchen and said, "My God, I'm ashamed, but I had to talk to him at that moment." My heart stopped. I felt weak in my legs. I turned to face him and said, "Speak, son." I got up from the chair. My legs were weak and I said, "What?" He said, "Mom, I felt like a father in my dream, and I was overwhelmed with emotion. My legs gave way and I could not contain myself. I reached out for him and pulled him close, fitting my bowl into his pan. And you know what happened? It felt like a rock. We stayed there for a while until he started to move, and I was trapped in a sensation I could not explain. Suddenly he turned to me, and we connected. We talked about many things. I commented that I would wait for the payment to arrive in my account before sending to fix the air conditioner in his room so he could sleep there again. He replied, "Mom, I like sleeping here with you, like before. Good night, my dear." He turned around, we connected, and he gave me a goodnight kiss on the back of my neck. At that moment, I could not restrain myself. I did not care about anything else, sending everything to hell. I put my arm over him, and I had a sensation I could not explain. Out of nowhere, he turned to me, and I helped him sit up. I went to the sink and held him like a chicken. I fixed the cylinder and put it on the fire, admiring the idea of having an object kept with me. Everything was so euphoric and desperate that it almost seemed like a fight. Everything was so wet that we slipped like children on wet tiles. I felt empowered in my defense, with my breasts swaying in front of him. He grabbed and measured in disbelief, saying, "Mom, Mom, Mom," almost as if he were crying. "We did it, son," I said. "You can leave everything here." The noise was like someone beating a cake, and we seemed to be in a dance of repetitive movements in a single spot. He made the birds sing, and I sang along with him, very loudly, and very for whoever wanted to hear. I felt strong when I knew something was about to happen. I poured it on the floor, spreading fertilizer from the pot. "Good, son," I said, not even after 8 breaths. He whispered softly, almost falling asleep, "Son, what was that?" And I gave him a kiss on the face. It was love, my dearest. So what will be the next chapter? The decision is yours.